Well, I didn't think this time was going to be coming already, but considering some of you got some snow yesterday, it's probably time today that we talk about how to winterize your lawn. So I guess let's start off with kind of why you're going to want to winterize your lawn and kind of the time frame on when we want to do this. Winterizing is basically adding nitrogen fertilizer just when the grass stops growing, but before it goes into any sort of dormancy period. So what happens when we get to the colder temperatures here and the grass stops most of its top growth, then it's still taking in energy, and instead of putting that energy into growing up, it's actually putting that energy into the root system. And so if we hit some fertilizer at this time when there's cooler weather and the nitrogen can kind of hit it at that point too, we're actually sending all that nitrogen energy into the root system. It's going to store that energy for next year, and then when we come into the spring season, we're going to get some early green up, and things should just be in a little bit better shape at that point. So there's nothing there really too complicated about it, but since some of you got some snow yesterday, I'm assuming that most of that is probably going to melt here, and if you look in your 10-day forecast, you're probably going to see a few temperatures that are warming up a little bit more, hopefully. Otherwise, if you already got to the snow part and it's not looking like it's going to warm up at all for you, then you're kind of just out of luck for winterizing, but hopefully you were doing some fall fertilizer. And it's been a weird fall, so next year I would just suggest in the spring, if you didn't get any fertilizer down in the fall, then to just maybe start with some a little bit earlier, but don't go too heavy. And we'll talk about all that when we get to next year as well. But my thoughts are just in general that I don't like to hit a lot of fertilizer in the early spring, because the spring grass already likes to grow a lot on its own. So then you just end up trying to mow every day. Kind of becomes a pain there. But if you're located somewhere here where it's gotten a little bit cold today, it's about 40 degrees here. It's looking like my 10-day forecast, we're gonna get back up to upper 50s and maybe to around 60 next week. So I think the grass is not done growing yet. I did mow today and it's still growing just a little bit yet as well. So what you wanna do is look for that time frame when you start to see the grass really slow down. Now you can kind of watch the grass and you'll know when you're not having to mow as much, but also usually when we get to temperatures that are hovering around the upper 40s consistently for a week or maybe a week and a half, that's pretty much the time frame. If there's no more warmer temperatures coming after that, that the grass is going to kind of naturally say, okay, it's time to start slowing down, it's getting cold, and that is the time when we want to put down our fertilizer. So what to use for fertilizer is kind of up to you. I actually picked up some of this fall turf food just from Menards. Today I was also at Lowe's looking at a couple things, and they have kind of an off-brand there that would have worked too. So what we're looking for is mainly we're looking for a decent shot of nitrogen, but we're also looking for something that doesn't have a lot of slow release in it. When we look at the back of this particular bag, we got 20% nitrogen. 20% of that is urea nitrogen, and then we've got a little bit of potash and some iron here. So what we're looking for here too is that only 5% of this is slow release. You could use something that's completely quick release if you'd like. I'll have a couple links in the description to something like maybe a urea option. The only thing with those is that if you do use those, just again, make sure that you get things watered in if you're not gonna see any rain in your area, just to be safe with them, because there's a little tiny possibility of burning your yard when using those high nitrogen products that are synthetics. So what you use isn't really all that specific, but personally I would recommend a synthetic product and something that's going to be quick release if possible. You don't really need the nitrogen sitting there on the soil during the winter time when it's not being able to be used. And then you just worry about it actually just washing away and kind of being a waste of money, and then also not good for the environment at that point too. So then how much to put down in your yard? Usually going with the bag rate is going to be okay. On my bag here, it's saying to put down 3.2 pounds per 1,000 square feet. They're doing that so that this will cover a 10,000 square foot area and have it all be rounded off nicely. So 3.2 pounds out of this bag with the nitrogen percentage that's in there is going to be a little over a half a pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. So it kind of depends as well on how much fertilizing you did this whole year. If you're just doing this fall winterizer for the first time, then you can kind of go between a half and probably a pound, somewhere right in there. So again, there's a lot of options for synthetic fertilizers. Hopefully you can find something affordable for you here at the end of the season. Just wait for your temperatures to drop a little bit and to where you're not really seeing the grass grow anymore. Put down your fertilizer and just let it go. And unfortunately, it'll be time for winter, but we'll be back in the spring better than ever. So if you have any questions on this video, let me know. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.